What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. I told you in my video that I released last night from my bed. My favorite place on earth. My favorite place. Let me just reflect on my bed, y'all. Just that my intention was to do a live event when I came in from the mosque today. I think what I want to do, I feel like the universe is pushing me to either do it later or tomorrow. The first inspiration was to do it tomorrow. I feel like I could do it today, but again, I always tell you, I listen to the whisper. My whole life is guided by the universe and its whispers, its proddings, its inspirations to me. Everything that I do, everything. That's why I talk about it so much, because this is just a part of me as my melanin, you know? So, but I didn't want to leave you hanging. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So you should look for this live event either later today, which is Friday, or tomorrow, Saturday. And can I just say, you guys, like, my face doesn't match the rest of my body. I'm over it. Right. I'm getting a lot of sun. There's a lot of vitamin D going on. And I can't get good lighting, dude. Like, I hate this lighting. I hate it. It's not really relevant, but it is. So you should look for that from me. Like I say, either later today / evening, or tomorrow, Saturday. Because, as you guys know, when I do live streams, it's us, you know, it's me and you. And so, you know, they can just go all over the place and they create themselves, really. So I think that I just feel like I should do it later or tomorrow. I had every intention of coming in and doing it, but the universe was saying, no, this is the new inspiration. This is what you're doing. You see? Because that was my proclamation. That wasn't an inspiration. That was a proclamation. I just was like, yeah, I think I'll just do, you know, a live event when I get in from the mosque. That was a proclamation. It wasn't an inspiration. This is an inspiration, and that's what I'm communicating to you. So look for that. And so if you were scrambling, trying to make sure you catch the live stream, you got a little time. You know, like I say, it'll be either later this today / this evening, or it will be tomorrow, Saturday. So I just wanted to come and share that with you. I also, just quickly too, while I'm at it, we can get something done. K.R. Watkins, I love you. And little man is 5, but it's all good. You see, we start planting the seeds and threatening them now. You see, so and nothing wrong with doctor, because I you know, we need more of that too. You know, we definitely need more black doctors. There's no question about that. I think I've shared with you guys, KR, that at some point, I know I've said, you know, even when I go and have my blood drawn, I'm like, okay, who is anybody black that's going to draw my blood, you know? Like, we need some more phlebotomists, and we just need, you know, we need stuff. So that's fine. And then it was either doctor or tech. So either of those, you know, both of those lead to coin, both of those lead to long-term wealth, both of those lead to a contribution to the culture. You understand? So we have no objection. I've spoken with the judges, and they've all told me that there's no objection to that. All right. So little man, and let him know I gave him one of these. All right. Let him see just that part, just in case. I'm saying, just so he knows. I'm saying, just a. Um. So yes. Um. These are with regard to that video, you guys, that I did from the bed. Shout out to Khalifa of the Most High. Um. And I love that, Khalifa. Abnormal to human reality. Yes. When I was at the beginning, when I was struggling for the phrase to put there. So that's, I love that. Um, and also, KR, I loved your dissertation of the dream. That was unexpected, and it was thoughtful, and it provoked thought from me. You know, I found that interesting. Also, yes, I did see the documentary about Robert Johnson. As soon as I seen it, I was like, I bet she must be talking about that one that because the name, but I was like, it must be the one about the dude that they claim made the deal with the devil. Here, I'm glad you bring that, KR, because this is my thought on it right away. As soon as I read it, because that's what I thought when I seen it. You know, I know there's a pervasive idea that we hear so much more of now. You know, about artists. You know, they made a deal with the devil. They sold to the devil, and they did this and they did it. And I think there's some truth in that. That's why this case gave me a different thought. Because when I saw this one of Robert Johnson, I immediately was not ready to sign on with that. They said he went away for a year, and he came back and he was amazing. Well, I play violin, I play French horn, I play piano. And what I know about being a musician is it is craft. And it's with creativity and inspiration, but certainly when you're mastering an instrument, it's you have more control over the speed of your development. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, whereas when you have inspiration, like if you're writing a song or something that requires a divine inspiration, something has to inspire you. Even when I was teaching dance, you know, and stuff like that, something like that. Sometimes it can happen quickly. Sometimes it can happen slowly because you're waiting on an inspiration. Mastering an instrument is like, did you practice your damn instrument today? Did you practice today? Did you practice today? Did you practice today? You see? So I could see two things converging on this case of this man. A, he was bound and determined to to be good because they ridiculed him when he first got out there and started playing. He probably felt that energy of they ain't really feeling me, you know, and he wanted to be good, so he went away and practiced. And also, there can also be a divine gift. It doesn't always have to be evil, you know. In fact, I remember saying out loud to the television, how come it can't just be a blessing from Allah upon him? Why? 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 Yes, it can be just a blessing from Allah. He put in the work, and Allah blessed him and gave him something special, you know. I also shared your anger on it, also, KR, because mine came from the place of I didn't appreciate that they were showing his grandchildren and all that stuff. That's fine. But the people they were mostly showing playing music was white folk. And I don't appreciate, especially when it comes to the blues. Rap, I have a problem with it too. And I'm consistent about that. But as it relates to the blues, I really have even more of a problem with it because that music is so from our gut. Like, there is only one, or I should say, there is an absolute requisite that you must meet in order to be able to play the blues. And if you can't meet this, you don't get to play it. Otherwise, it's life in prison without any possibility of parole. And that requisite is you must be an African. You must be an African, and particularly descendant of slaves. No white heifer should be up there playing the blues. What's your blues? What are your problems? What are your problems? What are your problems? What are your problems? You see, you have to have problems. You know, music that touches the soul comes from that. You know, I always tell you guys, my grandmother used to always say, what comes from the heart reaches the heart. Our pain and our suffrage is not equaled by any other peoples that have ever or will ever exist on the planet. This music comes out of that, and many times it was coded, even the music, the language. It was coded to speak about things or people or places or things, you know, that we understood and we could speak beyond them, you know. It was having a language of our own that they didn't know about. And so, that's where the music comes from. You know, I always say that Whitney Houston's best album, I don't care who doesn't agree, I will fight you and your mama, was My Love Is Your Love. That's her best album, dude, because Whitney had pain. Whitney had pain. She had pain. You see, all that other stuff that came before is fantastic, you know, and, you know, she had great writers, and but My Love Is Your Love was after she's with Bobby, and she's had a child, and she's now in the crescendo, really, of her drug use and her fame, and oh, it was everything coming together. And she never looked more beautiful. Whitney looked so beautiful. That whole project, every video, every song, she was a vision. Yes, but you see, all this is pain, 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 pain. You know, Mahalia Jackson, who my grandmother loved, and I love Mahalia because of my grandmother. That's why I know about her. But somebody like that is a perfect example to articulate and to punctuate the point I'm trying to put across overall on this, KR. Because gospel, you know, gospel is the telling of. It's the praising, but it's the telling of. And gospel music has nothing to do with the church, really. You know, you go back to Christianity of antiquity, nobody was singing choirs, and there weren't any praise dancers and tambourines, you see. This is unique to the slave. This is unique to the slave. The gospel hymn is a sister, a cousin, a friend, a brother, and a sister to the blues. Do you understand? And they bore a child called rap. It's the perfect analogy, because that rap is not as deep as the other two. That rap think they got it better than these ones over here. Well, these two have paved the way for your ass. You see? So, Mahalia, I digress. You know, she has so many songs I love. But there's a song that she sang called Trouble of the World. Soon we'll be done. Trouble of the world. Trouble of the world. Trouble of the world. But when Mahalia sings that, you feel it. But you feel it because you are connected to it. You don't have to know Mahalia. You don't have to have been in chattel slavery. That DNA is in the veins of our people, you see. No white person can make the claim. They can listen to Mahalia all day long, and they will never feel it. They can't access it. Boom! You are shut off. No access, devil. So sorry. You see? So this is very important, because when we get to Robert Johnson, this is what I saw. You know, white people. You know, my father was a blues musician. And I told you guys, you know, my father grew up with Howlin' Wolf and Little Walter. He was best friends with Muddy Waters. I used to sit on Ray Charles's lap as a child. He used to call me the genius. And, you know, those people would be, people like that would be at our house, you know, like George Benson, and I could go down the list. But my sister and I were talking about this recently too. It's so funny. Because many years back, long before my father was ever ill and passed away and all that stuff, he was doing an album, and there was he had this white lady that was playing the flute. I mean, she seemed decent enough, but I just didn't feel right. But again, you guys know, I always tell you, I'm not a contrived person. I don't decide how I'm going to think or feel about something until I'm exposed to it, and then I have my authentic reaction to that. My authentic reaction to her was just she didn't belong. I just felt that. I just went, why is she here? What's she doing? You know, what's she doing? You know, it just felt wrong. And I also know how white people responded to my father. You know, my dad was pretty big, you know. And even after he passed away, his stuff is all over the internet. I've just never revealed him to you guys because I'll talk about that later. And mostly for privacy and stuff like that. But I saw how white people around the world were responding to my father's death even, you know. And it's a weird dynamic because I'm getting off subject, but not really. I mean, this just comes in. Anyway, I didn't appreciate, you know, and then the little heifer that was sitting on, do you remember she had the little lighting behind her on it looked like a little middle school stage, and she's sitting up there in like some Indian position or something, like she's Miss, you know, and they all usually have that look. You know, they want to access the blackness, you know, and they feel like they're into it when they can sit there and play something that, you know, Robert Johnson played. I'm just disgusted by it. I just am. To me, it's like, you know, your father is married to your mom, and then all of a sudden some other heifer walks in, and you see the problem or something like that. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what analogy to give you. I was just disgusted by it. And I can't, you know, I think that, and also they leapfrogged over Little Richard as if he didn't exist ever on the earth, apparently, because they're saying this is what created rock and roll. Everything has a pathology, you understand? We could allow that without Robert Johnson, we probably wouldn't have had a Little Richard, but alas, we don't know, and we'd also have to do a chronology to find out what was Little Richard exposed to. How much had Robert Johnson's style even influenced music before the advent of a Little Richard, etc., you know. But again, at least there's an intellectual conversation and a thought process to be hashed through and considered. But in this case, there was no mention. It was just like this was the birth of rock and roll. Like this is one of the things that led into what is known as now. But lastly, to say on that, KR, I think that I'm not giving it to the devil. In this case, I give it to Allah Azza wa Jal. This brother went away and practiced, and plus I know people that play guitar, and I knew them before they learned it, and I knew them after they started learning it, and boom, it's like you've learned that quick. Guitar is not a difficult instrument to master. Let us just add that too. You understand? It's not a difficult instrument. You know, um, it's just not. The violin is more difficult than the guitar, quite frankly. And here I sit, a first chair French hornsman, and the French horn is the most difficult instrument, certainly the most difficult brass instrument to master. And so I'm qualified to say, excuse me, and being around my father all the time, we always had a music room in our house no matter what. My father was constantly picking that guitar. I don't know my house without that guitar. I don't know it. And so I say that just to say I've had a lot of exposure to the guitar. It's not difficult. So this brother went away, honed his craft, and then Allah gave him something, That's it. Michael Jackson is a perfect example to mention here in this context, because when we saw them doing Stop the Love You Save and ABC and I Want You Back and all that, it was like, man, they good. Man, they good. But we couldn't know that Michael would go away and come back, and then poof, you're the biggest thing on the planet Earth ever seen by recorded history. So yes, Robert Johnson can go away for a year. A year? You better be good after a year at anything, even if it's a damn Rubik's Cube. So I give credit to the divine. I give credit to the divine on that, KR. But we'll talk more about that in the live stream, inshallah. Shout out to Alan Freeman. Shout out to Amy Massey. Mika Baggy. Yes, Mika. I hope you brought back a souvenir. Alright, we talked about this. Right? You're supposed to bring back a souvenir. Alright. If I didn't get a souvenir, then go back to where you get